Welcome back. Welcome back to Unfiltered Unspoken. This episode right here is going to be really, really deep because actually we have Rico, who he has first shared his testimony in The Good Fight. And now this will be his first time exclusively sharing his testimony on Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast. But this is the twist. Sid, our co-host, is actually friends with Rico, and she never knew about the traumas that he was going through until now. So this episode is going to be very transparent about how our friends go through things, and we don't know. Sid took a little blame for it, but we're going to clear it's not blame because Rico went on to cover up as a happy life to smile to overcome and suppress some of the things that he went through. So I'm going to bring Rico up to introduce himself, to tell us a little bit about himself. And then, as you know, we're going to go right on into it. Welcome, Rico.
Hello. How y'all doing?
Hey.
All right. So should I introduce myself?
Yes, introduce yourself.
All right. My name is Jericho. I go by Rico. Today, I just want to share my story and tell a little bit about myself and the things that I've been through, and hopefully that my story touches someone and they're able to heal through the traumas or anything that they may be going through at this time. From a young age, I dealt with a lot of anger, a lot of I was picked on. It was just a lot. My family, we grew up very suburban. We never really wanted for anything. My mother took care of us. And so I'm sorry, hang on one second. I apologize.
You all right.
I'm going through it right now. I'm sorry. Just give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Okay, I had to pull myself together. All right. So from a young age, I've been through a lot. Neither one of my parents were there for me growing up. My mother, who I speak of as my mother and who throughout this journey, I will tell you, is my mother. She's the woman that raised me. She's actually my great aunt. She was my grandmother's sister. My grandmother passed away at a young age. I never got the chance to meet her. She was, my mother was somebody who took care of all of the responsibility, and she never had anybody help her. And she instilled a lot of that in me. Although I'm not as strong as she was, I do believe that a lot of the values that she did instill in me, I still live by till this day. My trauma started around the age of 3. Um, that was the first time that I ever met my mother, um, my biological mother. Um, we took a trip to Orlando to Disney World, and I witnessed firsthand her and her abuser at the time, and it never really sank in until later on that who I was meeting. Um, and it wasn't until we got back home that I started acting out and I started asking for her more, and we went through all of these. I went through all of these different emotions and started asking about my father, and he was never there. I think I maybe seen him once or twice from the time I was 6 until I was probably like 16, and he lived like 10 minutes down the road from me. He was never present as well. Um, and so a lot of that I passed off as anger, and I would shut down and I wouldn't speak to anyone and for days at a time, and so they put me in therapy at the age of 5, and they put me on depression medications and all different types of things. Uh, um, I a lot of the time when I would be feeling that way, I didn't know how to express myself more or less. And so it would come off as anger. Um, it would just come out. I would have anger outbursts because I would hold everything in for so long. And I still do it to this day. And although I shouldn't, I still do it to this day. Um, I hold in a lot. I hold it back, and I try to make jokes and to cope with it, thinking that it's going to help me. And in the long run, it doesn't actually help anything. The only thing that actually helps is talking about it and to getting my feelings out. Um, when I was going through all of this, the anger outbursts and all of that, um, I was having a lot of trouble in school. I was getting kicked out of class and getting suspended for fighting my teachers or just anything really. I mean, I was terrible. I didn't know how to act. I had a smart mouth, and I still do. um but I've learned to that taught me to keep it under wraps. I don't try to, I don't know how to say that. I try to express myself in the ways that I used to. I've learned to, I guess, to say I matured more from that. Um, Around that time, well, I was about age 7 or 8, is when I started to realize that I myself may be bisexual as well, and started to deal with the realizations of that as well at a young age, especially being told by my family member, oh, why do you love that? Like, why don't I? Da, 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 da. Having my family members were around me, lived in the house with me, uh, tell me that switching all the time when I walk, and a lot of it's still so painful just to talk about it, just to speak about it. it was very, very hard for me um, dealing with that as a child at a young age. When I was about 8 years old, I was molested by a family member that also stayed in the home with me, or was there very frequently. Um, it happened once that I can remember, um, but after that, it graduated into me being sexually active at a very early age. Um, it caused a lot of pain and trauma throughout my life just from that one experience. And it was something that I dealt with and I held in, and it was something that I never really talked about openly, because when I did talk about it, uh, when I was 13, when I brought it up to a therapist, the therapist told me I should bring in um, a family member that didn't live in the house and also my mother. And when that happened, I was basically told that I was making up the story, that it didn't happen. And it was just very hard, very, very hard for me to talk about it after that point. Um, I didn't feel like I would be believed. If I would have brought it up when it happened, I probably would have gotten it worse. I probably would have been beat up, or I don't even know. I can't even imagine what would have happened if I would have told back then, um, when I was younger. Um, it was a very, very, very tough thing to hold in for so long and not be able to speak about it, not be able to tell anybody. And then for the moment that you tell somebody, you're told that you're not believed. I think that was probably the hardest thing that I ever had to deal with. And it made me regret even saying anything. Um, made me not even want to, it made me not even want to speak with anybody. At the age of, at the age of 12, I would say, I was kicked out of school. Um, I was expelled from all Loudoun County public schools. Um, and I was sent to a private school in Fairfax. And from there, I was then sent to a residential treatment center in Lynchburg, Virginia, where I lived for a year and a half. Um, and there is where I spoke with the therapist every day, and they had me on copious amounts of antidepressants and antipsychotics and stuff like that for pretty much no reason. Um, I gained like 100 pounds when I was there. I was already a big boy from the medication that they had me on before. But at that time, I probably got up to about 280 was the biggest that I ever was. And I was in a terrible, terrible, terrible spot. I wasn't comfortable. I didn't feel like myself. Groggy and
Rico, we're getting a little
yes.
static. Your internet is coming in and out. So I just want to make sure it's clear because I see back feed on the internet.
Okay. is that I can do to let me see if there's anything that I can don't have an Ethernet cable, so I can't hook that up. Is it still going? Is it going in and out, or like when I'm speaking?
We can hear you clearly. It looked like you just glitching a little bit on the screen, but I can hear you clearly.
Okay.
You good now?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. We're back now. Okay.
Can I want to jump in real quick because I hear you talking and we're going to chime in. I want to ask Sid a question really quick, if it's okay.
Yes.
Sid, how long did you and Sid go to school together? High school, correct?
Yeah, it wasn't even that long, maybe, because I don't think
it was
we became cool until like my sophomore year.
It was like 10th grade.
10th grade
when we started hanging out. Yeah.
Okay.
And that was when I moved to Loudoun County because I was in Fairfax County. I came from Chantilly.
Okay. So I have a question for you, Sid. Now that you've heard all that Rico has said, and we've had this conversation, but now that you're really hearing it and we're all on here together, how does this make you feel as a friend, knowing that your friend was going through all of these traumas and you didn't know anything about it?
It definitely not good, but I kind of think, what would I even have done with that information? Like, I don't know if I was even like emotionally mature enough to, I probably would have been there for him just in like presence, or I probably just would have beat myself up, not knowing what to do or what I could do. But it makes sense in a way, because I'm never that type of person to really like pry. And we really lived within like walking distance. Like our Sugarland Run community was like, everything was walking distance. Like it was all one big trail. And we never really been to each other's house. I think he might have came over my house a couple times, just as I live closer to the school. So now that I'm looking back on it, it was kind of weird. We all kind of knew the same people. Everybody in Sugarland Run was family. Like I was literally almost the outsider coming in, because everybody just like, it was one of them neighborhoods. Everybody was related some way, somehow. So it was just kind of really weird. We never really outside of school frequented spaces, but now I can tell, he was probably keeping me at a certain distance. Because I really didn't know what was going on. It was probably more so like everybody else knew what was going on, or possibly had wind of his troubles, just because everybody knew, you know what I'm saying? Even the older people, like, it's like they come to Sugarland Run and don't leave. This is where they live, is where they die, is where they had their kids. Like it was really like one of them neighborhoods. So it was possibly like I was just on the outside looking in, and he ain't even want to, like involve me in that really. Because when we came to school, it was really all jokes. I mean, from joking on people to joking on teachers. Like we was really hell in that joint some days. So, but it was fun. Like it was just fun. So while I do feel, while I'm in the middle of not knowing of whether I could have did something or just offered more support, because I know my mother, like, he probably would have just ended up, at my house all the time and stuff like that, had my mom known what was going on, because she didn't play like that about kids. And, anybody that I felt like I could have around. So, things might have been different, but maybe he was, getting what he needed out of me, the support that he needed out of me, being as though I was completely unbiased. I was just his friend because I liked him. You know what I mean? Or I didn't feel sorry for him, or none of that.
Okay. So
a lot of the people. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
A lot of the people. a lot of the people that I went to high school with, they knew that I didn't go to middle school in Loudoun County. Like I didn't go to Seneca like everybody else did. I went to a different school. And so, but a lot of them didn't know that I had like left home. And then like a couple of my close friends that I grew up with, they knew that I had left. But when I came back at that time, like it was years. Like it was a good 4 years that I was gone altogether. And I came home for maybe 6 months and went back to school and then got kicked out again in between that time, and then got sent back to the residential treatment center. So a lot of people didn't know where I was going. They just assumed, oh, I went to juvie or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I never clarified with anybody. I never spoke about it because it was a time that I wasn't very proud of myself at that moment. So it wasn't something that I felt I should share openly because I was embarrassed about it at the time. But now that I'm older and I see it was something that I needed, but I think there's other ways that they could have went about it. But that's for a different topic, a different day.
Also, to kind of like place nuance on this, it wasn't like, I mean, granted, we was black as hell. Most of our friend group was black, but where we went to school, it's like, if you did have any troubles like that, you wasn't gonna let nobody know. Let it out, because we lived around white folks, like real live rich white folks. On the other side of Sterling is like where NFL players and their kids and all of that live. Like we around real white folks, so it's like, most of that stuff you wouldn't have just brought to the table. If it wasn't just amongst us, but you wouldn't have wanted to put that on Front Street because it was, you would be ridiculed in so many other ways or looked at in so many other ways. Although, our principal was kind of like welcoming. It just, just as a black person in that environment, you just not really like safe to really like speak your truth. You probably don't feel safe to speak your truth like that. Black people wouldn't even have known how to take his situation. So I know as a kid, it's like how you explain that to people. That you done been through 4 years of some shit that most people ain't been through in their entire lives. Like it wasn't even like the safest of places to put that out.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way that I cope, I'm sorry, the way that I was going to ask,
how did you feel? I mean, going through that alone, like, and you about to say it too, coping through.
I coped through it by becoming the class clown. I mean, honestly, that's what we used to do, is joke. Like it didn't matter what time of day it was, what was going on around us. It was yeah. I was a jokester. I used to get sent out to the office all the time. Like it was bad. It was bad. I used to joke around a lot, usually in class, because I used to smoke weed. That was back then. Yeah, we get it in. And in high school, to be honest, I partied a lot. A lot of the other people that I hung with, they all drank and did all that stuff. So we was doing all of that. We was drinking and having field parties and stuff like that.
You breaking up again, Rico? You breaking up again?
We're having the field parties and stuff like that, and was drinking with the white folks because they were getting alcohol, and we was so that was a lot of the way that I could with it. I just became the class clown. I was the chunky boy in high school. I was a big boy. I was probably about like 120 pounds since then. So it was tough in high school to have to keep it all to myself, per se. But that was the only way that I knew, because I knew that if I spoke about it, I wanted to not be believed, or people wouldn't even know how to handle it. And at that time, I didn't really have an outlet besides joking around and partying with people. That was what I thought the friendships were. You know what I mean? That's how I handled my friendships. I wasn't on any type of medication in high school. Once I got Minion, I started taking on medication. I'm not breaking up still.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. It's connected. Earpiece. Maybe if I take out my earpiece.
Yeah, it may be. I'm gonna go to a quick break and then we'll come right back. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
All right. Am I still breaking up? Or
It's still breaking up
Just a little bit.
a little bit.
Is it like the lagging or
It's like
or is it
static.
like my voice?
Mm-hmm.
Static and lagging.
Okay, it's clear.
That
Sid,
sounds
do you
great.
have any you got any questions for Rico? I know you
So when did you end up leaving the Minion actually? Because like it's like I don't even remember that point in time. And I know why I don't remember that time, but I just want to know.
So in my junior year, probably about 6 months before the end of the year, and like maybe like March, I think, of junior year, I dropped out of school. My grades were down. I wasn't doing very well. And I wasn't focused. I was still going through the whole transition of not being on vacation as well. And I think a lot of that what caused me to want to drop out of school. And dealing with everything that I had already been through as well. It was just, I suffered from severe depression. And so it was very hard. And so I dropped out in 11th grade. And actually, it was Principal Dr. Brewer. He came to my house and asked me to come back to school. And when I did go back to school, I pretty much felt like they were just like, I went back. I did summer school over the summer, catch my grades back up, and so I could pass into 12th grade. And so in the school year, I was taking 11th grade classes, whatever I didn't finish. I was taking those and my 12th grade classes. But since I hadn't done any of the extracurriculars that you needed to graduate, I wasn't able to graduate anyway. And so I just felt like it was a waste of time and proceeded to be the class clown, I guess, and ended up getting in so much trouble that they ended up putting me in like detention for like 2 months. And so like I would literally just sit in the school room for 2 months. They had all my paperwork, all my schoolwork brought there. And after that, I just kept leaving class and just kept leaving in the middle of the day. I'll just tell the teacher, I was like, I'm about to go home because y'all, this ain't even worth it. So I would just walk out, and he'd be like, well, I give you 2 minutes before I have to report it. Okay. I'd be in my car by then. And I would just be gone. And so I left school, and I just got my GED 6 months ago.
Oh, congratulations. Congratulations.
But, I mean, through even dropping out of school, I just went to work. I didn't have no other choice. I went to work. I was already working. Where was I working at that time? I think I was working at Old Navy. I was in high school. And then, man, I had a lot of jobs back then in high school because I used to cuss them people out real good. I had a smart mouth, and I was just, that's what it was.
The traumas that you went through, I can only, and then not really talking to anyone, I could only imagine like what you were going through. But if you think back, like Sid is super smart too. I mean, even and this is what I'm saying, like confiding in your friend, like asking your friends, can you help me? I'm having difficulties in this subject. Can you help me through this? And I know that's probably something Sid would have done. What made you do that?
At the same time, though, it was, again, like, it was one of them things, like, we wasn't opposed to hanging out outside of school, but we just never really did. Like, I had literally who I was tied to the hip with, he knew, Tracia, but, like, you know, outside of school, that was who I was with. That's who I knew before I even moved in the area. Like, it was certain like lines we didn't cross, even though we wouldn't have thought of them as crossing them. We just like outside of school,
we was at the parties and we was dancing.
That's what I'm saying. Like we had way different kind of crowds in the way, and like it sucks because our 10th grade year was very. Now that I'm listening back, it was very pivotal, which we probably could have helped each other because I went through some shit where, you know, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it wasn't nothing my family wasn't used to, but like it wasn't what they wanted from me. Like I got pregnant my 10th grade year. You know what I'm saying? So like that point of realism, exactly, which is probably why we ended up kind of just growing apart. But that point of realism, probably that, you know what I'm saying? I probably would have sought solace in you for that reason, because nobody else was dealing with that shit. Not that you were, but. You know what I'm saying? It's different being with girls that's not going through that. You know what I'm saying? I'm still in school. I'm going on college trips and shit. Like everything all good. I'm 3-4 months pregnant. Like I was on a whole nother.
So you were dealing with something as well.
You know, and it lines up because it, you know, was that summer going into junior year. Mm-hmm. So you know, my shit started failing at that point. Once I got like, you know, further into my pregnancy, there was days I used to call myself out, not come in about 12, leave when I wanted. Like I was taking an advanced class I didn't need at one point of the year. I was just like, I'll be going home at this time of the day. Like I was on my own kind of effort scale, and that's why I was like, when did you end up leaving? Because like I didn't even. You know what I'm saying? Like it was that between sophomore and junior year, that shit was like a fog to me for real. Like I was really floating through high school. Like I honestly don't know how I made it. Like luckily I was one of them people that didn't really need to study or pay attention in class to pass tests. But like I was not there at all. Like to be honest, I was not there after sophomore year.
Don't ever feel bad because I wasn't there either. I don't know who that person was that I was in high school, but that wasn't me.
That was the hurt. That was the hurt person.
That was the hurt and the pain. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask a question. Do you think that when you were molested, if you would have said something, they would have believed you? Because right then it's like, it just happened to you. You could have actually validated that if you told someone or went to someone, or even if they examined you, like, because I know you waited some time.
Yeah, I waited years, and I'm almost positive that it happened more than once. But just from my recollection and me just trying to block it out of my mind, I remember the first initial time that it ever happened. And it's happened a couple times. Like, it happened a couple times, but I don't remember the instances of it. I don't remember the details of
Because you
it.
tried to black it out.
Blocked it out. I don't.
They call it blackout trauma.
And it was. Can you repeat your question one more time for me so I can answer it correctly?
No, it's okay, babe. It's okay. I was asking if you would have said something then while the molestation was happening. Do you think that someone would have believed you then, opposed to waiting a long time? Because then you could really go to the doctors and they could really be like, yeah, this is happening to him. I mean, do you feel as though that it would have made a difference? They wouldn't have called you a liar then, opposed to waiting years later.
It wasn't necessarily my mother that didn't believe me, because when I was younger, my mother actually, the family member never came back around for years and years after that. And they weren't allowed at the house when I was there. So I don't think it was necessarily my mother that didn't believe me. I think it was more or less just that family member. And that family member was irrelevant at that time. After that moment, I kind of written that person off, but I still keep in contact with them. I don't know why, but I don't really tell them what's going on in my life anymore.
It's probably like if you can watch them and what they doing, you know that they can't. You know what I'm saying? It's like you keeping your own like forced distance with that, but you know they every move. You know what I mean? They can't really creep up on you.
The thing is, the family member was so close to my immediate family.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, when my mother passed away, like, this person had like control of everything. And so, like, I couldn't really, you know, and
you had to go through them. You had to be around them.
Exactly. And so I went years without speaking to my family. I mean, years, like a good 5 years without speaking to my family at all. None of them. Just because of everything that happened after my mother passed away and before my mother passed away. Mm-hmm. Just the things that have just led up to where I needed to find myself, because I got buried underneath all this trauma and this pain, and I'd never had a chance to actually find myself. And so when I dropped out of school, I actually left home and me and one of my really good friends, we actually left and went and sold magazines door to door, traveling around the United States. Craziest stuff ever. Somebody came and knocked on my door at my house in Sugar Land, and we ended up getting in the car, or we ended up a week later, after they were leaving, they bought us a bus ticket, and we got a bus ticket to Louisville, Kentucky at 18. Me and one other guy, and we just went and sold magazines door to door, staying in hotels and all different types of stuff. It was the craziest experience I ever had in my life, but it was much needed. It's
that getaway.
Yeah, it was much needed. And at that time, I was 18. And then when I was about to turn, right before, that was 18. Yeah. And then my mother passed away right before I turned 19.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I was in Syracuse, New York, actually, when she passed away. And,
and this is not your biological mother. It's the lady
that raised
the woman
who raised me.
The woman who raised you. Is your biological mother still alive?
No, she passed away She passed away when I was 23.
Okay.
She passed away right, like actually, probably like 17 days after my 23rd birthday. I
Wow.
remember it. Yeah. She actually took her last breath in my arms. That was another experience that I will.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, she always said she wanted to pass away in the house like that we grew up in. And like she grew up in that house too. Like my mother owned that house for over 30 years. And so like my mother was raised there, my uncles were raised there, their kids were raised there. So we all grew up in the same house, you know. And so um now I don't know exactly what happened, but my mother had suffered a stroke and so I was taking care of her. Um and she suffered actually like 3 strokes. She didn't have use to the left side of her body. She couldn't talk, she couldn't write, she couldn't. And so it was really tough. She actually recovered a lot. She was able to she was able to get her speech back. Um, she's able to use the left side of her body again. Now, as far as like writing and stuff like that, she was still struggling with that um, up until she passed away. Um, and I'm not sure if she had another stroke or if it was a overdose um, that she passed away from. I was sleeping and she was supposed to wake me up for work because I worked nights then too. And um, she didn't wake me up for work and I was late. And I went in the room and I was like, "You ain't wake me up." And she didn't respond. And that was the that was the moment I knew. And at that time I had my little cousin living with me and he had just came in, he had just walked through the door right when I found her. Um and I told him not to come upstairs. And he came upstairs anyway. And I said, just call 911 and go stand downstairs and don't come up here. You shouldn't be around this. Um, and that was probably I still see that image every day. And that's probably been one of the hardest things that I've ever had to deal with. And not being with my biological mother's death and my mother's death, I feel like I never got closure.
And that's what I was going to ask you.
I felt like I never got to say goodbye. And I think a lot of the things that I've been through as an adult are from that and not being able to have that closure. I feel like I have to have closure with everything else that I go through. You know what I'm saying? Like anything that I don't want to do anymore. I feel like I have to get closure from it. And I don't know why. And that's from people and all different types of things because of I have never got closure from my mother or my biological mother. Hell, I ain't even got closure from my father and he's still living. I still don't even know like what happened when I was younger, like why.
Do you talk to him?
I haven't spoke to him. Well, I spoke to him last year around this time and haven't spoke to him since. But that was the first time I talked to him in probably about 5 years.
Still in Sugar Land?
No, he doesn't live in Sugar Land. He
Okay.
lives I want to say he lives in Maryland right now.
Okay.
I think he recently moved to Maryland. And so I don't know. I got little brothers, little sisters, older brothers, older sisters.
And you don't know him?
I know them, but I haven't seen them in over 10 years. And so my little brother, he graduated from high school last year, I believe. And I still haven't, I haven't spoke with him since last year around this time. His birthday's in November. So that was the last time I talked to him was for his birthday, I believe, or Christmas time was the last time I spoke with him.
Oh,
I just lost touch with all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
I have a question because I've asked a couple folks this, especially males. You said at one point, at 10, you felt like you were bisexual, right? Do you think do you think the reason why you've chosen to be gay is because of the molestation at 8? Like you, I had one of my friends was gay. He said he really didn't have a choice because of what he experienced, so he automatically was drawn to males. So, from your perspective, do you feel the same way, or
yes and no. So for me, I always knew I was different from the other kids. So not just me, just the feeling that I've always had. Like when I was before it happened, like I would like probably like I don't know, like first grade, I think I would stay home sick one day or something like that, and my mom would go to the store or something like that, and I would catch myself wearing her high heels around the house, stuff like that. And I did that all types all through like elementary school when I was struggling the most, and that after that and before that. So it wasn't anything. It wasn't that I didn't know. I knew, but and I'm sure other people knew because they would always say it, but and try to use it against me. But I think for me personally, I'm still physically attracted to men and women, even to this day. But I've lived my life as a gay man for the last 10 years.
That's I want to ask about that because and when doing your spotlight story, you talked about the abuse with the female counterpart, and I know exactly who that female counterpart is. Now, when I saw that y'all were together, it kind of, I had questions. Just for one, based on who it was, because I'm just like, we know, but
Yeah.
secondly, to me it was clear as day that you was a gay man. So like, at that point, when you young, you think it's one or the other. I understand now how this works, but do you think that relationship turned you off to women, quite frankly?
No. That was probably one of my longest relationships I ever had. Besides the one that I'm currently in right now. We've been together for almost 5 years. Um, my relationship with my ex, we're actually still really good friends, believe it or not. And we talk almost every day. Well, at least twice, 2, 3 times a week. You know what I mean? We were friends before. We've known each other since we were like 15, you know, maybe even before that, but 15. So it was when she came out and asked me the question, "Are you gay?" I told her I am bisexual, and we were fine with that. That was about 2 years into the relationship. You know what I mean? And we still stayed together for another year and a half after that. Now, after that, it changed the relationship changed a little bit. It did. But ultimately I did end up telling her that she would be the last woman that I ever be in a relationship with. And that's exactly just how it went. Um, it wasn't anything that she did or it wasn't anything that I did. It was just that's just I just knew where my life was heading. And once I told my mother that I was bisexual or gay, and she accepted me and she told me, well, I'm gay, you know what I'm saying, I'm bisexual as well, like, you know what I'm saying. So I my mother was very open as a bisexual woman. She didn't care what people think. And so at that point it just kind of opened the door for me to explore a little bit more and figure out what I wanted in life. And so ultimately, that's why I moved to Florida.
And also you moved to Florida. See, this is another trauma that I'm going to hit that was in your spotlight.
Mhm.
So Rico was the monthly spotlight for the Good Fight, and I want to thank you for that as well. And if you have not read it, it is a must read to go into the Good Fight chat group. You said when you moved to Florida, you were raped and robbed. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What happened and how it traumatized you even more?
Um, so when I moved to Florida, I was there. I had never been there. I was there by myself, and so I got on one of the little hookup apps or whatever, and met somebody, and we had hung out before then. You know what I mean? And everything was cool. It was copacetic. We got drinks. It was cool. Person was cool. So we ended up going to Miami one night, and I we were I think we were taking Molly that night or something. We was on something. We was doing something. And I asked for more. And I said, "Can you get me another one?" And I didn't want it necessarily at that moment. But when he came back, he like blew powder, some type of powder substance in my face. And I literally at that moment I pretty much blacked out right after that. I remember yelling at him and saying, "What did you give me? You drugged me, like you gave me something." And I just remember us leaving, and after that I just remember bits and pieces of like waking up while he was on top of me and stuff like that at my house, in my apartment. Um, and then like apparently like there was like a $500 charge on my credit card from the bar. Like they bought everybody around the shots that was standing at the bar. Um, somebody had hacked into my bank, like somebody got my banking information off of my phone. And so it was a lot. Like that was that was very traumatizing. Now it didn't stop me from hooking up. I just never let anybody else come to my house again. Like I would just go and meet them. Like it was just it it took a while. Like I want to say I went like a year without hooking up with anyone. Is that breaking up again? It sounds like it's
I hear an echo, but I can hear you.
but um it was very traumatizing. And so after that it took like a good year for me to start dating anybody after that, or like seeing anybody. And I would just I just hung out with only a couple. There was only a couple people that I hung out with while I was there. And actually that person had just recently passed away um this year, last month actually. One of the most genuine people I ever met, and never hurt me in any kind of way. You know what I'm saying? They showed me a lot of Florida, and it's sad that they're not here right now. You know what I mean? To I don't know, to witness it all, to witness the greatness that's going to happen in my life. So your mic, your mic is off.
Oh, yep, I paused. So Right now, you still said you have some anger issues from all the traumas that happened from adulthood to childhood. Are you getting help for that? Are you seeing a therapist now?
I am not. Um, I haven't been to a therapist since I was 16.
Hmm.
I went through 10 years of therapy from the age of 5 until I was 15. And it kind of changed my perspective on it. Like
Hmm.
I'm not against therapy. I just haven't found the right therapist for me.
Okay.
And it's been very hard, especially moving to Texas and stuff like that. And you just read a lot of the reviews of therapists and stuff like that, and it just turns you off, not makes you want to, you know what I'm saying? I've seen a lot of bad reviews. Now, with my insurance that I currently have through my job, they cover all of that. And like they cover a good portion of it. So if I need to see a therapist, I can. But I haven't found one for myself yet. And I think once I do, I will be able to heal even further.
Okay. I'm going to send you this online information for these therapists. It actually does a match, and you can actually do it by income. They charge you a certain amount, or you can do it through your insurance. So I'm going to send you that information because it does a cross match. And if you don't
Okay.
like the therapist, you can reach out and get another one. So
Okay.
I'm gonna find that information for you. Um, I'm going to take a really quick break, and then I'm going to come right back.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I have Sid.
I'm back. I'm back.
You want to ask Rico anything? I'm sorry, I don't want to.
Um, sheesh. Just, I guess, as somebody who again didn't really know, what was going on, but that was somebody you could believe generally there for you. What is the best, I guess, form of support? Like, would you prefer, or would you have wished more people kind of like dug into what was going on, or maybe asked you more personal questions? Do you feel like somebody needs that type of support, or should you just wait for them to say something or come to you with it? What do you feel like somebody should be looking out for, or what type of support do you feel like they should offer, to somebody going through something like that?
I think okay, so from my perspective, me back in high school, I wasn't emotionally mature enough to even speak about it at that time. And so it it I don't think there's anything that anybody could have said or tried to get me to talk, because I wasn't going to speak. That was my way of coping with it, was to shut down. And so as far as other people, I know that the changes in my behavior as a person is what was the biggest tell sign that I needed to get help for myself, or figure out an outlet so that I could speak about it. A lot of people, I think a lot of people don't reach out because they feel like they won't be taken seriously. And and especially as a Black man speaking about their mental health, it's been stigmatized so much in the Black community. And I think that I think we need more people that if you're ready to talk about it, please talk about it. Find somebody to talk about it. There's way too many people out here that feel they don't have anybody to talk to, and or they can't say anything because they'll be made fun of, or anything like that. I got to the point in my life where none of that stuff matters to me anymore. I don't care how people feel, how people perceive me anymore, because I've already beat myself up enough. I've already held it in so much that I have no more left in me to hold back. I can't do that anymore to myself, because it damages you emotionally and physically, and you'll start to see it. It'll come out in all different types of signs. It's not just your emotions coming out. It's literally in your physical appearance. You'll notice it. You can feel it. You know what I'm saying? It's tough, but I feel that people need to. I feel like people should have at least one person that they can go to, and they should be able to speak about anything to.
Now, how do I want to ask this? I want to ask this question just in regards to people that are watching, that are maybe educators or mentors, big brother, big sister. Because I'm not going to say that there weren't, administrators in our school that I wouldn't have felt comfortable coming to, but again, my issues weren't, the same. So, we had those administrators. We can go, we go kick it at lunch with them, spending your time in their offices, things like that, where you felt like you might have been comfortable. But again, my issues weren't on that level. So for anybody watching that is, an administrator, educator, mentor, anything, what can they do to make, I guess, themselves more, subliminally open for people to come to them, especially in settings like that, where now we know that, a certain slip up can get you in a foster home, or get your parents locked up, or your guardians locked up, and just make everything worse. How can you make yourself seem, available, readily available, or someone who cares, as an adult in the situation, for the child to come and be more comfortable with coming to you about stuff like that?
Absolutely. I wish I had more administrators that was more open to be able to speak with them. I think half of the problems that I had in high school, I wouldn't have had if I would have had somebody that I could talk to. But the one administrator that I did speak to on the regular, we didn't really get along. It wasn't somebody that I would confide in. Miss Braxton, me and her did not get along at all. I could not stand Miss Braxton.
I still can't stand that lady.
I remember we was at a game, and I think I went to Seneca. I think I was at Seneca, and we went to one of the Dominion football games, and it was like right when Dominion first opened, and it was me and I want to say it was me and this girl, and we was just joking around and stuff like that, and we was playing back and forth, and the girl like pushed me, and I like pushed her back. It was just kind of just playful, and Miss Braxton came up from behind me and grabbed me by my arm and said, "You don't be putting your hands on girls." And I was like, we were just joking, and I was like, "But don't you ever put your hands on me ever again." And like, and it was just, we just never really got along from that moment on. Like, she didn't really like me, I ain't really like her, and so we just kept it at that. And that was my administrator when I was at Dominion. So like that was my guidance counselor. So I couldn't really, there wasn't really nobody else for me to go to at the school besides her, and we didn't really get along.
And I'm gonna say this, but especially my Black educators, y'all are extremely important, and especially in settings like the one me and Jericho were in. We are in a sea of white people. We are the black specks in the sand, like, and not only is it just a sea of white people, this is this is school where people leaving and going to Ivy Leagues. This is a school where the student parking lot looked better than the teacher parking lot. Like, we was really in, a sea of microaggressions and classism and all of that stuff. And the one, Black person we had in the office was the nastiest to us, the nastiest. And I mean, would wait hands and foot on the white kids. Like, it made no sense. Like, if I can talk, I can probably pick out 20 alumni right now from Dominion, and there is no good reviews about this lady. Like, she was not helpful at all. And then come to find out, she probably getting bullied in her own home by her spouse and stuff like that. She don't act like that in her home. You know what I mean? Like, she was just cracking the whip when, we needed help. Honestly, we needed somebody that we could go to. Like, she was just she was horrible. So all I'm going to say is that if you are an educator, and especially in spaces where, we are literally the minority, like, get your stuff together. Get your stuff together, because we gonna talk about it. We 30 pushing damn near 40 now. We gonna talk about you.
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about you.
We well past the acting bashful stage.
That's we gonna tell you about yourself when we see you, and now you're look. I'm not even gonna go on her.
Let me tell you, I had a black principal. He threw my backpack on me, and I hit him back, right? And I got in trouble. But he eventually ended up getting fired from Fairfax County Public School System for hitting kids. He had an issue with putting his hands on kids. There was no disciplinary action for him. It's like, forget the child. We're going to go by what the parents say. But the parent in the school system that's supposed to be our role model is creating all the issues and the problem. So we don't have anyone to go to, and we have all these traumas going on in our home. It's like, you could really help us, but we're not comfortable in talking to you.
Where we should be the most comfortable, because it's somebody that look like us. But and it's always a matter of the pot calling the kettle black, because like I said, she was not like that in her own home. Her daughter was a hot mess. She wanted to be all strict with us. And look how your child turned out. Then you got family who's also part of the faculty having inappropriate relationships with the students. So, like, she was just, we not doing that in the light of relieving trauma. Like, I would have some words for her.
We should bring her on.
I want to pop back up, like, with a microphone. So, like, what's that? Like, what's that? What do you want to talk about now? Because she did all of that to really have her own indiscretions, like, and horrible ones at that. So on top of that,
the system is failing us all the way around.
I'm telling you, and on top of that, with a bad wig, I could not.
Law enforcement.
I could not. We're not gonna do that. Girl, I got some words for her. So we healing our inner child right now, because I had words for her ass. I'm trying to.
You see, she traumatized y'all.
She did. She in the real life, because it really sucks that she just was not like an integral part of our development at that school, because it really made, and she was black. You know what I'm saying? Like, we really would have listened to her. This is not somebody following, acceptability, nothing. Like, this was a real live black lady, the type of lady we would see at home. Like, and she just was not leadership to us at all. Like, at all. At all. To put her down.
I put money in her swear jar just so I could go cuss her out.
I'm telling you.
She used to have a swear jar on her desk, and she used to make you put quarters in it. I went in there, I put a $5 bill one time and just cussed her out, laid her out.
Telling you, because she was horrible. And I'm like, this is it. That type of stuff follows you. It follows you. Like, we 30, you damn near 40 now, still talking about that. That shit hurt. It really did, because you know what I'm saying? She making sure she catch athletes doing stuff so they can't get on the field, can't get on the court. I wasn't on the step team. I couldn't step for something. I don't know what the hell I did, and I don't know, because I was a good student, but she didn't allow me to step on we had to go to West Virginia. I couldn't participate. Like, it was, I don't know what she thought she was doing.
The school systems are accountable for this, because they are putting these folks in place. And our voices need to be heard, because if we're getting traumatized not just at home but at school too, there's a big issue. There's an issue, because our family, our parents' taxpayer dollars is paying for their salaries.
Period.
Well, see, now that Dominion been in the hot seat for a long time. They've been in the hot seat for the past couple of years now, and the funny thing about it is, it's now only affected them now because now the white kids is being affected.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it is.
Now
But this
we're
is
having a
unfiltered,
conversation.
unspoken, where we speak what we
Mm-hmm.
feel as though is our truth, and
Mm-hmm.
you know how we feel. I have another question for you, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna let Sid plug it out, and then I'll close out. But I want to know, I want you to share with everyone, the audience, because the first thing we do is, because I did it too. My son was having behavioral issues and diagnosed with stuff. So I did. He was on certain medications when he was younger, but I felt as they did help him with behavioral issues. I took all the measures, like he was on IEPs, he was on a lot of
Me
stuff.
too.
But when my trauma happened, my son actually was like, I'm not taking no more medicine. He converted from the medicine to God. Like, my son can tell you all the scriptures, but what that tells me is I must have missed something as well too, right? Through that process. So if you could tell folks, like, a lot of what you were going through was not that you needed medicine. It was that you were going through a lot of traumas that needed to be identified. And at some point, you had to do a change where your behavioral issues became more. We kids, so we bad a little bit. But when there's a big change and we have anger issues and aggression, and we're doing certain things, like, how do you bring attention to parents? I've changed. Don't just drug your child with medicine because you think you're having issues, but to dig deeper into what your child may be going through, because this could have been a solution for you where your mom came to you and say, hey, I see a change in your behavior, what's going on? And then you could have been open and said, hey, a relative molested me, this is why I'm having these issues, where it could have probably been a more believable situation that you were going through, instead of being overlooked and you called a liar and you're really going through these things. So if you could just share, like, give the audience and parents some tips on just sedating their child with medicine when there are deeper roots to what they're going through.
Absolutely. So for me, when I was going through the whole medication, and they kept changing the medications and all of this, and I'm like, I don't want to take this, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. I was too young to have my voice heard. And so my mother was listening to what the doctors were telling her. Well, this one, we think that he should be on this one. Well, with this one, you're going to have to take him and go get blood work done every week. So now I don't like needles. So now I got to go deal with something every week they had to restrain me every week. I had to go through them restraining me just so they could take my blood. Like, now I'm not scared of needles anymore. After that's more traumatizing than actually get that. I got tattoos galore now, but that, but back then, when I was 12, 13 years old, and I'm like, I don't like needles. I don't like needles. Like, why am I having to do this? Like, well, they have to check it. They have to do it. They have to do it. Well, we're going to send you to the hospital and have them strap you down to a table and then draw your blood like that. Like, you should not be putting your kids through that. That is trauma. That's going to follow them. You have to listen to your kids when they usually when like, for me, I know that with my mother, I was very vocal with her of what I didn't like and what I liked. You know what I'm saying? I'll do this for you, but this is not what I want to do. They're going to agree with what you say. But I think that for parents and for kids that are also going through it, I think what would have helped me is if my mother would have listened to me when I said, I don't like the way that the pills make me feel. They don't make me feel like myself. I don't feel like myself. I feel like a robot. And I went through that for a very long time. And I mean, 10 years of taking medications, and I've taken 12 different types of medications in a 10-year period. And half of them made me gain weight. And so I'm already a big boy at a young age, and I'm doubling in size in a year time span. and I can't get rid of the weight because they keep pumping me up with more drugs, a different drug here, a different drug here. Here's a drug to help you sleep because you can't sleep because you got all this medication in your system. Like I had insomnia real bad when I was on medication, and I tried to tell them the medication. I don't like it. It's not working for me. It's just making me feel like a zombie. Like I'm not even expressing my emotions. I don't have any emotions. It's just and that's it. If you notice that your kids are going through something or if their behaviors are changing, please just listen to them. Just listen to them. Let them know that you are there and that you are willing to work with them to make sure that whatever that it is that they are going through, that they feel heard. Because a lot of my traumas would have been avoided if I would have felt heard.
Absolutely. I just also want to take this time to put a spotlight, because while we here at the Good Fight, we do this for everybody, every type of person, every color of person, but we cannot deny the fact everybody on this panel right now is Black. A lot of our viewers are Black, and racial bias just does not stop in, the hatred and feeling of people. There's racial bias in medicine. So with that being said, listening to your kids is ridiculously important. Getting second, third, fourth opinions, if you have to, is ridiculously important. Speaking with medical professionals that look like you and understand your genetic, emotional, mental, everything, all types of makeup is extremely important, because as we have seen on paper, there is an agenda to take our kids straight from school to prison. And a lot of these behavioral issues are not necessarily behavioral issues. There are things like in my right 32, I'm 33 now, but just finding out at 32, I have ADHD. That could have materialized into something totally different, depending on my upbringing. Granted, I was sheltered from a lot of things. My mother was amazing. I didn't have to go through a lot. So had I, I might have turned out completely differently and not known how to operate and move in certain situations where I could have been seen as crazy. I could have been seen as aggressive. I could have been misbehaving, all of that. I could have ended up very easily where Jericho was. Any of our kids can. So we know our kids the best as parents. Listen to them, gauge them. There's so many nonverbal cues that we can go off of. These are kids. We all were kids at one time. We know they don't like to talk. We know we didn't like to talk. We know things are tough to talk about. We know how we position ourselves as parents and leadership in their lives, that sometimes we aren't the easiest people to talk to. So take them nonverbal cues. Take these medical suggestions with a grain of salt. Just honestly listen to your kids, because there is an agenda out here for kids. And if there's not an agenda, there's a world ready to mold them into being whatever the hell they want them to be, so that they can do whatever the hell they want to do with your kids. So literally just take this story and this life experience, and learn from it. Somebody else had to go through that pain and experience that so that you didn't have to. And he was strong enough to come out of it and be able to talk to us as well. Whereas there's been plenty of times where he probably wasn't going to make it, or didn't have to make it if he decided that he didn't want to do it no more. So this is a cautionary tale, because when we kind of give up our rights and put things in other people's hands, they will take it and run with it. And our kids know they are young, they're still learning, they're still developing, but they are intelligent individuals. They are human. They feel, they see, they hear everything. So like he said, just listen to your kids. That's really the best I can say, because just the normal things we going through, that's not the only way that they out to get us at all.
And I'm going to piggyback off of Sid, from a child that went through behavioral issues, starting at 8, from some things that happened to me. And I ran away from home. I was probably ran away from home for over a year and something, just to, to disconnect myself. And from 12 to 14, I mean 12 to 16, I was in and out of the system, but it wasn't, I was in and out of the system because I really wanted to. I was looking for attention, and I wanted attention, and I couldn't get the attention at home. And I was being bullied at home by relatives and going through abusive. Not my mom is a mix. My mother was out of some of this stuff, but my family is not the best picture perfect family, and they're never going to be. And we are distant and we're separated. So notice the changes within your child when we're acting out in behavior. If we get in trouble, because it was a PEO. His name is Jerry Jackson. He may be deceased now, I'm not for sure, but he had all the Black kids in the neighborhood. And I came from a very diverse area in school systems, and my friends are all nationality, all races, all colors. I'm not a racist. I have a rainbow of friends. And he picked on Black people. All he wanted to do was lock us up. Every Black child that came through him, he wanted to lock them up, lock them up, lock them up. There was no mediation, or how can I help this child, or if this child is going through behavioral issues at home. It was an automatic, they're going to get in trouble. But if you look at our other friends that got in trouble that weren't Black, smack on the hand. It was, it's easy. So, pay attention to your child, look at the behavioral changes. And if you're a child and you're having issues with your family at home, try to confide in someone that's closer to you that will listen to you. We don't want any child to go through abuse, molestation, just physical, mental, emotional abuse at home, because it's traumatizing through life, and it affects our adult decisions. And until we're able to realize the traumas, then we have issues. Because I lashed out with anger. I was this most lovable person. I took in people. My vulnerability is loving people, because I really didn't know what love was. So anytime that I got in a friendship or relationship, I automatically gave all my love. And then when my love is abused, I would lash out in anger, and it was almost no coming back. Now I'm not like that anymore, because I'm learning love. But these are issues that need to be addressed. These are issues that need to be brought to attention. These are issues that the whole entire society needs to know about, because it is the truth. Black kids are put in this bucket, and we do not get the proper help that we need, throwing medication or just placing us where behavioral. It's not fair, because a lot of us, the issue is bigger than that. So pay attention to your kids, parents. If your child is coming to you saying they're having it, please listen to your child. Just listen to them.
That's really it. I again don't know, what I might have done with any of the information on what went, down with you, Rico. Thinking about it, I might have did something, only because, again, you never came to school like anything was wrong. So had you probably said something was wrong, I probably would have took it seriously. But just thinking back on stuff now that learning that once you was over it, you just kind of, you sold your mother's house, all of that. Like I think that, had things remained the same just in our friendship and things like that over the years, I probably would have talked you out of that. Like, just as far as what I was on, I didn't know too many people that owned a lick of nothing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I probably would encourage you to try to keep that. And again, that's your family home, but it was like, with that being said, now that it's yours, you probably could have written your own story in that home, redesigned that, whatever it was. But, just be a different, outlet. Because I'm sure the friends you had around you, probably co-signed on it, knew you was coming into some money, or didn't really have much to say about it at all, or just didn't hit the emotional aspect of it. Like, well, I understand you want to get rid of it and whatever, but there's certain things I wish that I was around for, especially getting older, especially when you went out to Florida. I felt like we probably would have been freaking frack at that point, because I just seen you. It was like you was just being yourself. You finally were able to be yourself, do what you want to do. I was amazed to see that, because I used to always get questions just because I hung around you. Was he gay? He ever told you? I honestly ain't know. I ain't think to ask. I was just like,
but
it's not my business. You know what I'm saying? Like,
when I was 13, I told all my close friends that was around me at the time, so people knew. It wasn't a secret. I never hid it from anybody. I'm the type of person that I like people for their personalities more than their gender. That doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? If I get along with somebody, like, that's my peoples. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the people that I gravitate towards.
Right.
I don't now. If I would have known what I know now back then, man.
Nah, for real. Because it was just like, the people that make you feel the worst, when you realize the shit they was going through or what they actually was, you please, like, they had no business, no room, the complete audacity to be talking about people.
And that's the crazy thing. People are going through so much, and they go through so many traumas, but they hide it and hold family secrets, and then they judge you. But it's like, you need to address those issues that you going through. Like, who's gonna hide? Who? I ain't hiding no more secrets.
That's all. But again, like, our neighborhood, it was like, just as he said, like, his mother had that house for 30 some years, and there's plenty of people like that in that neighborhood. Like, they have literally grown up in that neighborhood. Everybody's family, cousin, related some way, somehow. So to be honest, it's not like people ain't know your business. But it's just it was honestly,
they knew the business.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they included in it, or it's just like, who going through it the worst that you can sit here and talk about it, because it, you know what I'm saying? In Sugarland, it was, granted, the school we went to was prestigious, new, whatever, but that was an old neighborhood, and this is a low income, all types of stuff going on. So it's, people had business, and I mean business, where they just wasn't in no capacity to be talking about nobody else. But it happened because, at the end of the day, we still were at the low totem pole in regards to how the school was set up, the school structure was set up. And, Sugarland was the poor side of town, for what we can call in the suburbs anyway, the poor side of town. So, it was just, once you realize a lot of things in retrospect, it just, you almost beat yourself up for feeling like that, because how dare they even try.
I want to touch.
How do Black communities support each other more? Because we're so against each other, beating each other up, tearing each other up. It's like, all nationally, but we're the worst race that does that. How do we bond? How do we help each other? How do we help each other get through these things and feel trustworthy of coming to someone and saying it, instead of them bashing us and tearing us up even worse, and we're just ripped apart? So we walk in silence with our traumas because we're so scared to talk about it, because us as a race is tearing each other up.
It's honestly just lack of knowledge of self. Because honestly, if we knew, what we would say, if we knew just what this just meant, just literally, it could be nothing that them folks could tell us, regardless of what we got going on. It wouldn't be much you could tell us. And I think that we just need to, even though we're going to have our issues within our community, it needs to always be I ain't going to say us versus them, but at the end of the day, your fellow man should be your priority. Or we need to, I would rather, even if I don't know you and I see you doing something wrong, I'm not going to check you in front of a whole bunch of people. I'm gonna pull you to the side. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna always be with you in the face of the public, but you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna pull you to the side.
But it always feels as though when that type of situation comes on, that you're put in the spotlight to be embarrassed.
Yeah,
exactly. And
that's where a lot of the fault comes in at. Is that
stop. We as a race, we continuously to bash each other in front of other people. We have to
but it's respectability politics is what we call it. And it really ain't even about us. It's trying to look like what we aren't to other people, or try to look like we one of the good ones, or and again, that happened a lot in our school because that's what we was around. While we going through real stuff, there's people having a good old time, getting drunk, partying on the weekend, bonfire parties, going to total a car and get a new one the next week because their parents got it like that. Like that's what we're watching.
You remember when I wrecked my car?
This is what we see. We friends with these people. Well, not friends, but we close enough. We in their house. We in their parents. We see this. We see all of what we don't have, and of course, we're not going to put our trauma on Front Street. They don't even
understand it.
Exactly. Like you tell them one night you ain't eat or something, or we ate once that day, or only time I ate was at school, or I got beat, or police. They know nothing about it. They know nothing about it.
But they would feed us. That's the crazy thing. They would feed us like it wasn't nothing. And I have learned culturally. I have learned so much culturally from other cultures, and most of the folks that have had my back. Now I've had some good sisters help me, but I'm being honest. I have no disrespect for no race, because in my career path in life, it has been white males that have helped me to become and where I'm at today, growing and growing and growing. It has been white males. And that's sad that my own people won't help me, but it's someone else that sees the potential within me to say, you know what, I'm going to elevate you. I see the potential of you. And then don't throw it in my face and don't try to talk to me. But if I can go the other way, I can talk about like work abuse. That's another topic. Mm-hmm. But we have to start sticking together. And in a lot of aspects, we got to see beyond color, right? Mm-hmm. We have to see beyond this, so.
I'm in an interracial couple. I'm part of an interracial relationship. So, I myself, and that touches back on the whole things of my past and stuff like that too. But it is where I am right now, and I'm in love. So I can't really, you know what I'm saying? I can't really help who I love. And
and they probably help you the most when you date black.
His family and him have elevated me to a level that I've never been elevated in my life, and so and right now we're in a very good space. We got our own place. We both got good jobs. We chilling. We don't want for nothing. We're not struggling for nothing. Bills paid. That's the most important. We got 3 dogs.
Me too.
I got 3 dogs. They all in the room. I like, take the dogs, take them over there. But I myself, I think this is the longest relationship I've ever had with a white male, and so.
And it's okay.
It's not perfect, and I'm not perfect, and in no way whatsoever. I still struggle, okay, and we still struggle as a couple. We still struggle. We still have our issues, but we do work through them.
Mm-hmm. And I push my kids to date outside their race. I tell them, I'm okay. Date whoever loves you. I don't want you to just be, because for me, I was a society person and I wouldn't date outside my race because of how I thought society would look at me. And I missed out on a wonderful man, Caucasian, and he's a millionaire. But because society perceived, I wouldn't do it. Now I will date outside of my race because I don't care what society thinks. but I always cared what society thought. I don't care about society what society thinks anymore. It's who I'm gonna love and who's gonna love me. I will date whoever I want, any culture, and I don't care who judges me from it. So,
and I think for me, because this is the longest relationship I've been in, and it has been hard, and it has been a struggle, both physically and emotionally. Shoot,
are you the aggressor?
Am I
more so the aggressor? Because I know you say you still have anger issues. So
I'm more of the instigator.
Okay.
If I see if something said to me that I don't like, I'm an instigator just to take it to the next level.
Mm. So now you know that I hope you working on
that. But physically,
uh-huh.
I do not. I will never. That's not how I am. I'm not a physical person. I'm not going. I do to protect myself. Yes, I will protect myself. But I'm never the aggressive. I'm not an aggressive person like that. With my words, this smart ass mouth, yes, but no, not physically, no.
So you gonna work on that, right?
Yes, absolutely. I'm working on it. I'm speaking about it. This is the first time I've spoken about it.
Okay. So hopefully
I'm admitting my wrongs, and he can hear me now. He in the room.
but that is a step. So now that you've admitted it here, now you can go talk to him when we finish, and then admit it to him because you've publicly done it. So now have that individual time to do it. And really quick, I just want to ask, because I know we have went over time. This was a really good episode. And I thank you, Rico, for coming. Do you feel as though, because I know like I said, you came out with your life experience, the first on The Good Fight, you're sharing your life experience, first on Unfiltered Unspoken. Sid and Rico went to high school together. This is a beautiful connection right here. And Sid didn't know a lot of the things she didn't know any of what Rico was going through. So do you feel better that you're releasing? And it's an honor for us to be the first, but do you feel better? Is it a release for you?
Yes, absolutely. It is. It's been a long time that I've wanted to speak about it. And there's so much more that I didn't even touch on that I probably could have. You know what I mean? Like there's so many the intricate details of everything, but I could have went into detail about that. But
so can we have you back on?
Absolutely. Like I'd love to come on for like a group discussion with other people as well, because I have a lot of insight about a lot of the things that I've been through, and I feel like there's a lot of topics that are like that we could that I feel like would help me as well.
Okay. Send them to me and see it so we can get something linked up and together.
Okay.
Send it to us.
Yeah, I would love to do that. This has helped me so much, and I want to thank y'all for giving this platform. And I think that this will help a lot of other people as well. And I think it's a very great thing. And I'm just happy to be here and be able to speak about my experiences. And I hope that it helps somebody else.
It will. It will. It definitely will. Sid, how does this? And we're about to close out, but I just want to know, how does this whole situation make you feel, or as a friend, like if you see certain things with your friends now, that you can see the signs that they're going through this? Because I know this is, you're taking in a lot of this now, and through the newsletter. So this is all new to you.
I think honestly, the reason I kind of, if you can consider it taking it hard, was this because I am that friend now that, notice anything. Like I got friends that my best friend, we literally probably text more than we actually talk. And I can tell any type of attitude inflection in a text, you know what I'm saying? So like, I'm on it with my friends, which is probably why, I took it personally, because like it's always been that way, because I never had like a large friend group, so the friends that I did have, I knew them pretty well, even if they didn't think I did. I was just that type of like observant type of person. So now I'm like that with my friends. So again, it kind of took me aback, because I'm like, damn, like, like I have done more. could I have helped or anything? But to me, it's just like, again, now I'm just kind of coming to grasp with, like, maybe he used me in a capacity of which, and not used me. I don't feel used, but used me in a capacity that worked best for him. You know, maybe I was that escape. Maybe, again, I was not that person that knew anything about him in that manner. So, you know, he could feel secure and genuine in what our friendship actually was, because it wasn't pity. I wasn't, you know, it wasn't none of that. And granted, he didn't know too much of my background either. Like, I mean, obviously I wasn't, you know, rich or anything like that, but, you know, he might not have felt comfortable telling me stuff like that, because based on, you know, what I might have said or who I might have told, which was fine. Cause again, we just went to that type of school. Like, you never really knew who was going to snake you like that. In regards to friends. So I feel like now that I was there the way that I was was supposed to be, the way that he wanted me to be. And
we had some good laughs.
We did on many of teachers' expense. Okay.
When I tell you that
there are days I can see them days verbatim. I can hear them verbatim. I can smell every like there's so many instances I can just like run back that they were hilarious. Like, and you know, now it is making sense that, you know, from someone who can, you know, kind of see the ins and outs of what people are going through. It's making sense, because I'm telling you, we didn't get them teachers no slack, son. Like, they knew what it was when Sid and Rico was in the room, because he was going to do it and I was going to laugh. That's it. Like, that's it. I ain't never do too, you know, I ain't do too much, but I was going to laugh, and I was going to laugh hard. You feel me? Like, it. And if both of us had to go, we had to go, but that shit was funny. I don't care. But
I was too. I was a clown.
Those was good times, but nah, because some of them teachers deserved it, and you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It was funny. But
remember when Miss Brown had the surgeries on both her ankles or both her feet, and I got up in front of the class and I said, "You just mad because you can't do this," and ran across the room.
He would tell them teachers, like, you back up, your breath stink, you're too close. Like,
I was bad, it just all goes to the saying, sometimes you gotta laugh to keep from crying, and
you do. But at the same time, it kind of brought me out my shell. So, you know, regardless of what you thought I was doing for you, you was doing a lot for me, because I was not rebellious. I would have never talked back to a teacher. I was not that person. But he did, you know, show me the lighter side of things. And now, especially, it's just like with everything you was going through to even be able to provide me with a damn laugh.
Yeah.
In the day was amazing, like, for real. And
so you made Sid happy, and you gave Sid a laugh, but you were hurt. You would leave and go home. And hurt. But you know, Rico, we have a lot in common. I made folks smile and laugh, and to this day, I'm the most lovable, genuine person. And people can say what they want to say about me, but one thing I could tell you, they can never tell you that girl wasn't a true, lovable, down to earth, always smiling friend. Because I always was. No matter what someone did to me, I always put that smile. I always went out of my way and over and beyond. And I smiled so much, and I would just go home and cry, ball up and cry when I get in hot, because I was depressed and I was suffering, because we don't get that love back. We give it. What makes us happy is seeing you smile and seeing the next person smile. And we putting on a smile, and we make this smile look like it is reality, like it is the truth. But in reality, it hurts to smile. It really, really hurts to smile. But, you know, now these are all pure smiles. Like, we all smile. It's real. Yeah. But then those were, I know for me, up until 2 years, a year and a half ago, I had to force smiles. Now they real smiles. So
yeah.
And that picture that I sent you for the video. That's the first time that I've seen a genuine smile on my face in the last 6 years. So that's why I use that. That's why I used that picture. But it's not that old of a picture, but that was from probably 6 to 8 months ago.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. That's but no, I'm just saying. It's just that was the first time that I was actually able to genuinely smile. Because if you look at my pictures on Facebook, I'm not really smiling in any of my pictures.
But I'm gonna tell you, take some good pictures. You are handsome. You are handsome.
I'm telling you. That's why when you went to Florida, baby, I ain't gonna put your business out, but I was like, I gotta make it. I was trying to make it to one of them shows. Like you was doing it. It felt so good to watch you really. You know what I'm saying?
I had to find myself, and I felt like that's what I wanted to touch on earlier. That was one of the reasons why I sold the house, is because I felt like there was so much pain attached to it.
That's what I said. Yep.
And so much loss, and I was the only one there taking care of the house for 5 years by myself at the age of 19. From the age 19 to 24, I was the only one there, and I had all these older family members that would get mad at me. But I never had anybody really show me any guidance. I didn't know how to handle any of that. I didn't know
house.
Yeah, but not only that,
I was learning as I was going. But if I had the knowledge now, if I knew what I actually had then, like what I know now, if I would have had it back then, I'd have never got rid of that house.
But then you live with a lot of traumas in the house too. So I can only imagine how many memories.
But it got to after my biological mother passed away. At that moment, I couldn't even stay in the house by myself. I had to have somebody else there with me. And so it got to the point where I ended up actually moving out of the house, and like nobody was staying in the house. Like it was just there. And so I was just like, well, I had an opportunity to move to Florida with my job that I had. And so I just took it, and I was just like, I'm just going to go. And so it took about 2 months, and I had everything set up, and I just packed up my car with the fit in it and drove to Florida. 18 hours, and never been there. I ain't even have a place to stay when I got out there. I got a phone. I applied for two apartment complexes, and I got denied at one. And the day I got to Florida, I got to Jacksonville, Florida. I remember because I got to my hotel. I got a hotel that night, and I stayed in Jacksonville, Florida. And they actually called me that next morning when I was driving to West Palm Beach, where I lived at, for 8 years. And I got a phone call from the other apartment complex that I went to, and they said, "We approved you. You can come pick up your keys either day or tomorrow morning, whenever you get into town." I was like, okay. And I ain't had nothing in that apartment when I first moved in, but a mattress. I take it, but I didn't sleep in that first night. It was just mine. It was the first time that I had something that was actually mine. I mean, from there, things went downhill. But in the process of me finding myself, I had to destroy myself.
And you got to find, and it's good that you stepped out on faith, though. A lot of folks won't step out on faith.
I definitely won't.
Step out on faith, you will get there. You will get there.
I need a damn plan. I'm going to talk myself out of not going, because I'm gonna need.
But I'm the same way now. Like I have to talk myself up to it. To do something so spontaneous. But a lot of things were just came me moving to Texas was very spontaneous. It was right before COVID, right before they shut everything down. Me and Sean, that's my partner. Me and Sean, we was talking, and his family lives out here, and he was in Florida too. That's where we met, and that's where we've been together since we lived in Florida. But we were just we worked for the fairs. We worked for his aunt, and we were going around traveling to the fairs. Well, they shut everything down, and so we were losing our job. And we was like, look, he was like, I kind of want to be closer to my parents. Would you want to go to Texas with me? I was like, let's go. That's what you want to do.
Let's do it. Faith.
Let's do it. And the day that we got here, we started work a week. We started work a week after we got here, and we worked for his aunt. I've delivered pizzas and was a shift manager at Pizza Hut. Shoot.
It's a job.
And then I was working for Amazon and delivering pizzas. So I work a 10-hour shift at Amazon, then go deliver pizzas from 7 to 10 or 7 to 11, and then do that 6 days a week. And got us where we needed to be. Now I got one job, but it's a good job.
And I got work, but see, all the traumas that you went up to, God finally gives you some stability in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we go through a lot of things, and it's so we can. A lot of it is to share our testimonies to show people that you can heal through this, you can get through this, and you know, sharing your life experience is going to help someone else. But we about to wrap it up because we sure.
Yeah, we did. It's all good.
Way over time.
Yeah, we were.
It was good talking to y'all. Thank you. I feel like I can open myself up and you guys were a blessing today because I needed this. Good. I've been up since 4:30 yesterday.
And
oh wow. Yeah, but I went to work. I went to work at 6 and then worked from 6 to like 5:30 this morning. And so I've just been chilling. I took my dogs for a walk in the pouring rain. Like it was, you know, it's been raining for like the past week out here, so it ain't nothing. It's still hot outside.
It's just amazing how the you know the little things that we should just kind of disregard are the things that we appreciate the most. Because we have, you know, you have this normal stability, and you know you really treasure that when you get it. So I'm glad you got it.
Yeah.
I don't even go out and party like that no more.
Good.
I maybe go out and I drank the other day, but that was because of Thanksgiving, and I was FaceTiming my cousins and stuff, and so I was like, "Well, let's have a shot."
It's the holidays, yeah.
I was cooking. I was in the kitchen cooking, and so I was like, "Let's have a shot," you know. But I don't even drink like that anymore. I drink maybe once a month.
But that's good. You're toning everything down.
I partied in my 20s. That's it.
Exactly. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna wrap it up. Y'all just hold on 1 second. Rico, Sid, go ahead and close it out so I can finish up. Sorry.
So I mean, normally we would this would be like the shameless plug. If you was, you know, had some projects going on, or if you anywhere that you want to let you know, the viewers know how they can get in touch with you if they do need to you know, talk about anything in regards to what they were seeing today. So you did say Facebook is the best way to contact you, right?
As of right now, I am making a page. It is up, it is published, it is live. It's called Life Without Filters. It is a Facebook page. It's just a page where I just write quotes and
invite us in.
Things. I'm sorry.
Invite us into your group.
Yeah, it's a public page.
Yeah, but invite us in. But invite. Okay. We don't know what that. So invite me and Sid in, and come share it in the Good Fight chat group. So absolutely. And tell folks a little bit about it in the chat group so folks can come in and follow you.
Okay, all right. I will do that.
Yes, and I just again, friend. This was my boo right here. I mean, I just, you know, days we ain't really want to be in school. I knew I was gonna have a world history with Jericho, and everything was gonna be good, and he was gonna cut that teacher ass, and everything was gonna be all good. But I'm just so ecstatic. You know, like I said, the type of school we came from, we seeing people getting married now, and they got this and they got that. But these are the stories that really matter to me the most. The ones I feel most connected to. You know, I ain't really know them too well. We in passing or whatever, but I really spent time with you. You know what I'm saying? We was in the trenches. This was, you know, for times when we was both finding ourselves, and we both awkward ass teenagers, and we, you know, didn't see no faults within each other. We was like this, and again, whereas you thought, you know, I was being there for you, you did a lot for me as well, and my esteem, and knowing that, you know, regardless of what I look like, what I wear, any of that shit, people that was really, you know, down, and really people that understood, they would like me, and they would take to me, and we would get along just fine. So again, where you feel like I might have did whatever for you, child, you was doing it for me too. And I do appreciate it. I do appreciate, you know, your strength through that time. Just, you know, being able to wake up and come to school every day. You know, that you should be something you should be proud of, because personally, the one little thing I went through at school, I was done. I ain't that was it for me. But you came through a lot, and it is just amazing to see where you are now. Just you have no idea. I'm just so glad you're in a great headspace. And again, where we seeing people falling off. We at that age that people getting conditions, they life catching up to them, and it's not all good. We losing people. It's a lot going on. I'm telling you, and it's just amazing to see where you are now, and I'm proud of you. If ain't nobody else told you, I'm so proud of you. I'm upset I can't touch out and reach you here in Virginia, but
we're going to Texas. I just told him we're going to visit him.
I'll actually be making a trip. I'm coming to Virginia in February.
Okay, let us know. But we trying to come to Texas.
We gonna have to link, because it's been a long time. And again, I just I want to be able to tell you this to your face. I want to touch your face, touch you, hug you, really let you know
and
that
I want to give you a big hug too.
Yes, but I'm just if it don't mean a thing, I'm extremely proud of you, and what you have overcome, what you have been able to accomplish, and the happiness you are living in now. Because again, people can take this and just turn to a life of what the fuck. Not to say that you haven't, but you done came back from it. So
multiple times.
Friend,
you okay, I'm gonna wrap it up because I don't want to. If we ain't gonna be able to get this out. So I just want to say thank you, Rico. Thank you, Sid, for tuning in to Unfiltered Unspoken. This is a little longer episode. Thank everyone that's still here and tuning in. If there's anything that you haven't learned, Rico, he went through childhood traumas of molestation, being forced on medication, being put in institutions when he really needed help. So parents, please pay attention to your child. Stop sedating them. Pay attention to your child when they're going through behavioral changes. There are deeper roots that they are going through. Let's protect our kids, because this does travel into their adult decisions and their adult lifehoods that will affect their lives every day. So let's protect our kids. Let's listen to their voices. Let's listen to what they have to say, and stop shutting your child out. Thank you for tuning into Unfiltered Unspoken. Rico, Jericho, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it, all the way from Texas. And we will see you soon.
I was gonna say, still